If I were God, I'd expect children to obey their parents. I'd hold parents accountable for communicating to their children in a way that matches their child's intellect. I'd teach humanity to treat each other with respect. I'd tell them all that they will be held accountable for their actions and that I'm always watching. I'd protect them, keep them from harm, and I'd promise to watch over them always. If I were God, I'd instruct humans to love each other as themselves and to take care of the poor. I'd show them the beauty of nature and animals and how I put it all on earth as a blessing. If I were God, I'd inform them that faith in me is extremely important. I'd even create a paradise to reward those who kept their faith. And to make sure their faith was really, really strong, I'd pretend like I don't exist at all. That's right. I'd set out these rules and guidelines for humanity, and then I wouldn't follow any of them. I'd expect people to obey me as they obeyed their parents, but I would communicate far above their level of understanding. In the same book where I taught them that animals and nature were a blessing to be cherished, I'd instruct them to sacrifice and burn those animals' flesh at an altar just to prove their love for me. As humanity treated each other with respect, I'd command the killings of innocent children. I'd take sides in wars and order armies to slaughter thousands. As humans loved their neighbors as themselves, I'd order one group to take another as slaves and say that beating those slaves is acceptable. I'd teach boys to respect their mothers, and then I'd restrict the amount of authority a woman can have and allow men to treat them as property. I'd show humanity this vast, amazing universe that I spoke into existence, and then I'd pretend to concern myself with things like sports, taxes, and masturbation. I'd tell humanity that I cannot make a mistake, and that everything I do is perfect, and then in the 6th chapter of my book, I'd admit that making humans was a mistake in itself, and I'd kill them all except a few. I'd create all of humanity like very special children, and then make a percentage of the population attracted to one another and tell the rest of the humans to kill them. If I were God, I'd tell them that I sacrificed my son for them, but then I'd have him back in 3 days. And to really test the faithful, I'd watch as people suffered, and as innocent people died, I'd remain silent, invisible, and indifferent, just as if I didn't exist. As women cried for help while being raped, and I was the only one who could hear it, I'd remind humanity that I did without my son for 3 days, so this wasn't my problem. And even though I'm the most powerful thing in the universe, I'd blame a devil for all the things that I didn't take the time to take care of. I'd leave so many mysteries, and like a charlatan, I'd say all questions will be answered after you commit to me. If I were God, those who doubted me would not only be blocked from entering that amazing paradise. No, that wouldn't be enough. I'd throw them into a lake of fire, not for a year, or a decade, or even a century, but for all of eternity. They would suffer. They would learn their lesson, not that it would matter, because there are no second chances, but they would learn nonetheless. And then, to make it seem like I really don't exist at all, if I were God, after all this, I'd tell the humans that I am the very definition of love. I'm sorry. That's if I were the Christian God. If I were an actual God, I'd communicate with humanity on a level that matches the intellect I gave them. I'd provide updates as time changed to keep them on the right course. Each human would understand their bodies and never have to wonder about an illness. I'd never take sides in wars. I'd speak out against them. I'd say rape is detestable, oppression is detestable, and slavery is an abomination instead of shrimp. I'd move to stop child molestation, and I'd fight against hatred and for equality. I'd strive to create an environment which does not need natural disasters to thrive. A population that wouldn't want to harm one another, in which everyone is truly equal, and I'd create a biological system that would eradicate even the purpose of cancer. Above belief, above faith, fear, above threats, I'd put happiness as the ultimate goal. That would be doing the right thing, the godly thing. It would be my responsibility, but that's only if I were God. Right? Or maybe, since there isn't one, I'll just do those things anyway.